Hi everyone, welcome. It's Makeup by the Numbers. I'm here with another Ultimate Beauty review. I'm going to be doing face primers today and why I might never buy another pore blurring primer again. So this is Makeup by the Numbers, like I said, and with everything on this channel is very numbers based, very fact oriented, and based on lots and lots of experience working with the product. So face blurring primers. Today I'm going to do Cover FX. Cover FX still is around, but their blurring primer is not. The only reason I ended up choosing to review this very old tube was because I ran out of pore blurring primer by the Benefit Pore Professional, and this is pretty much a dupe. Same ingredient, same color, same feel. It's the same product in a different company and packaging. So it's going to say Cover FX, but you can really think of Benefit. Then we're going to talk about the e.l.f. Poreless Putty Primer. It's like they were trying to make a tongue twister. Now, I know this isn't a complete dupe for its high-end brethren, but I know most of you are super excited about this product. It's not even new. A lot of people have been raving about it, and come on, it's e.l.f., so you know it's affordable, and you know it's like sold everywhere. And then I've always wanted to try Rare Beauty because I love so many of her products, so I decided to pick up this pore blurring primer because it looks and behaves actually quite different. If you've got kind of a feel for things, all three of these products are really different. Also, kudos to me for like actually having all three on hand when I filmed. Fantastic, right? So to talk about, the obvious, and to me the least important whenever I start off, least to greatest, is the Cover FX. And the Benefit also comes in a plastic tube that's opaque. It squeezes out. It's simple, cheap, and effective. Then you have the e.l.f. It's plastic. It stores flat. It comes in a clear pan. It does have the soft touch lid, and it's also a screw top. Takes you 1 or 2 seconds more to open it, but I do like how much more secure this is than a flip top, although this is also a screw cap. Look how nasty and dirty that is. Personal preference, I don't like that. Rare Beauty also comes in a plastic with a soft touch finish, but it's frosted and it is a pump. I particularly like the pump because not only is it cleanest, look at that, it's perfectly clean now with just one wipe of my finger, but it also produces the least amount of waste because of the contraption that pushes the product up from the bottom. Oh no, I might not have been holding these up high enough, but there you have it. Now, for applying them, it doesn't particularly matter for two of them. So for these two, you're going to squeeze it out. It probably gives you the most control over the amount of product to use. This one, like I said, it's the cleanest. You can apply it directly to your face the easiest. You can also use an applicator with them. Although you can use an applicator, you could use a sponge or a cotton pad or a spatula. Would be really difficult with the thickness of this product. It really is meant to be applied with the fingers, personally, in my opinion, just because of the shape of the container and the way it applies and the thickness. It really needs the heat from your fingers to melt the product to make it work into your skin a little bit better. It's not difficult to use, it's not difficult to work in, but it needs the finger to do that. It is the easiest application, and I don't mind using my fingers to apply a product. I actually feel that that's quite wonderful. It's quick, it's easy, and I just wash my hands off. And I don't have to worry about dirty brushes or moldy sponges or anything like that. The only thing that I will say is it's not hygienic. If you're constantly dipping your fingers in something, even if you wash your hands, eventually it's going to be contaminated, especially like most of us keep our products in our bathroom or at a vanity where there's other contaminants around. The other two are much more hygienic, but me, I just wash my hands and I'm not picky. If you share your makeup with someone, like maybe you have a family member or you're a makeup artist, I would not recommend dipping your fingers straight into it. Moving on to texture, again, getting into a little bit more of the meat and potatoes of kind of what you want in a review. I gave them, they're pretty creamy, all of them. The Benefit is the most silky. It really does feel almost slippery, but it's smooth. And that's because of not only the formulation, the fact that it contains silicons, but also it comes in the cream finish. The e.l.f. I only gave a 7 simply because you need to work it up and then it kind of dissipates if you rub it out too much. You can rub it out over a large area and then you're not really feeling it. And the Rare Beauty, I only gave it a 7 as well because although it's silky, it has a gel-like consistency and that doesn't make it like a tiny bit sticky or a tiny bit tacky. These are also thick but not too thick, so they're about a 7 in consistency, 7 out of 10. That's perfectly doable for most people. Again, the e.l.f. is an odd one out. And I gave it a 10 because it's a solid and it's a putty. It's very thick. For its smell, there's none that even this product is years old and there's no smell to it. There was none with the benefit. No scent or odor for that matter for either that or the Rare Beauty. The e.l.f., because it comes in a big white pan that I shove under my nose to smell it, I went, oh, it smells a little bit like makeup. Does technically have an odor, but I don't notice it at any point ever than when I'm snorting e.l.f. putty primer like cocaine. And if that's what I'm doing, well, then I deserve to smell it. So I would say none. Though, again, talking about the hygiene, anytime you introduce bacteria, you also introduce the possibility of an odor. So if this does start to smell, toss it. How tinted are they? That's the next question. The Cover FX, I put tinted at a 2. Again, 2 out of 10, so it's barely tinted, but I do see that it has coverage. It is skin tone on me because I'm like Frosty the freaking Snowman. But if you have a darker complexion than me, yeah, you're probably not really going to see it, and if anything, it's not an attractive cast, but you don't really need to worry about the tinted coverage. The e.l.f. is a 1. It is not clear. You can see it when you put it on, but it goes away so quickly and you have to put so much of it on to retain that tint that it's not worth mentioning. Don't think of it as a tinted product. Just think of it as a product that you can see it when it hits your skin. The Rare Beauty is a 0. And as far as luminosity, they're all matte. This one does have a little bit of a sheen, but it's like a 1. So again, these are not luminizing primers. These are not hydrating primers. These are pore blurring primers. So I'm going to assess them not based on their luminosity as how good of a product they are, but on whether they pore your primer. I think another thing that we should consider when we talk about primers is hours. I've been wearing my Dior Backstage foundation exclusively for about 4 months now. I know the way that product feels on my skin. I know how long it lasts. I know what kind of moisture it can take if I can go to the gym, if I just wear it around at home, if I'm at work. Like, I know that product. And I can tell you I saw almost no difference in longevity. So these primers, you know, they're supposed to help with longevity, but I don't feel they do. I think if you're looking for longevity, maybe getting a tacky primer, a gripping primer, would be your best bet, or and combine. Novel ideas. Look at me go. It's like I'm on the toilet. I'm thinking things. Your best bet might be to also invest in a setting spray. I get 6 to 8 hours wear with a foundation, but before it looks even touched. I'm talking like pristine usage, and I just really wasn't seeing any extension except with this primer, and I will chalk that down to the fact that this is the only primer that had the gel consistency, so it had a grippy texture, which gave me that little bit of boost. I'm going to say it gave me 1 to 2 hours more, but it's the only one that there was a noticeable appreciation in longevity of my foundation's coverage. The only thing that kept it in place more than already 8 hours. And like I said, I go to the gym during my lunch and shower, and this is the only thing that helps that. I priced out the Benefit Pore Blurring Professional Primer, and in case this comes up, like in some of my other reviews too, where there's like mini sizes, standard sizes, and or bulk sizes, I always price out the standard size so that there's always a fair comparison between products across brands and across sizes. And I do cost per ounce, and it was, not this, but Benefit was $45 and a third, so $45 per ounce for a product that doesn't work. Again, I'm not hating Benefit, I'm hating them all at this point, but $45 an ounce for me is too much, because e.l.f. is $13 an ounce. And then $29.80, so basically $30 an ounce. So Rare Beauty, though, is the only one that actually did a little bit of something for longevity. So I will not be buying this primer by Rare Beauty, but I may buy their hydrating primer or their gripping. I have oily skin, I don't buy hydrating primers, but I'm not going to shake on the brand. Is that a thing, shake on a brand? Sometimes I make things up. I'm not going to say anything bad about the brand because this product doesn't work, because this product is identical to what science tells us works. It's just science is, well, let's get into it. So what you all care about is the pore blurring effect. So I measured it alone, and I measured it with foundation, and I have pictures and I have videos. So what you can see is nothing. You cannot see where each of these products are. You cannot see my control area. They're inside the dashed lines that I drew on my skin. I measured it. I made sure I targeted the areas on my face with the biggest, most visible pores. I put it on my cheek where I have just a lot of open pores, as well as on my nose where I have some larger pores from where I've had a lot of blackheads in the past. I have a lot of sebaceous filaments that are still in my nose, that are still visible in my nose. I really gave these their best shot. I put them on without foundation. I let them sit, and then I added foundation over both those areas and took more pictures and more videos, and I could not tell. Like, you know, I knew I had product there. I could see where the product started and ended, or should have been able to see, and I couldn't. And then, you know, I'm looking at the close-ups where I have the video proof, basically. And like, it's not my eyes. It's not because I'm not wearing my glasses, you know. There was no different. I asked my husband, who's very honest, who doesn't understand a thing about makeup. So if there's something different, he'll tell me. He can't describe it to me in any sort of intelligent term when it comes to makeup. He's a very smart guy, but he doesn't wear makeup he doesn't wear makeup. He couldn't see any difference. The pore blurring effect doesn't work. And so I kind of looked at the ingredient list. They all have very different textures and different application and storage because of that. But really, the active ingredients in pore blurring primers is pretty much exclusively a form of silicone. The most common ones are dimethicone, which I'm very familiar with. That's in most makeup products. Cyclohexasilikoxane, cyclopentasiloxane, and cyclomethicone. Basically, it ends in conazane. It's part of the silicone family. When they form with oxygen, they actually become a silicate, and it's these sort of reflective / refractive layers that cause light to kind of bounce over your pores. It's not going to get trapped in your pore and cause maybe some of the shadowing that you would see from an unharsh light angle. But putting yourself in flattering light will actually have the same effect, because you don't need to scatter light, you just not need to have a harsh shadow. If you think about an opal, which contains silicates, which are these oxygen bonded silicones, and you think about the way light moves over an opal, where it can be a little bit hard to, say, judge depth, or it has that very, very pretty, you know, sort of shimmery finish. That's very similar to what we're doing with our makeup. We're essentially putting luminescent trickery. That's why I wasn't really able to see a difference between having direct light, although I moved around, and bright light so I could see the difference. Even rotating with my camera wasn't giving me exactly what I needed to see any sort of difference. And I wasn't able to duplicate the conditions to observe where these silicone layers are actually going to provide finish. And my guess is that unless I am forming layers like you see in an opal, or like you would see with the nacre of a pearl and actually providing a pearlescent finish, unless you're seeing these layers slip and slide past each other and kind of reflect light off your skin, you're really not going to blur your pores. Your pores are there. You're not filling them in. I know some people think, especially with this putty primer, because it's so thick, that you're supposed to like mash it into your skin. Please don't mash makeup into your pores. That is not good for you. That is, I don't care how non-comedogenic, I think I said that right, non-pore blocking makeup says it is. Like, if you smash it into your pores, you're going to fill your pores with stuff that shouldn't be in it. Just don't do that. Your pores exist for a reason, and if you hate your pores, don't hate your pores. I used to hate my pores growing up, and then I read that it was genetic, and then I went, oh yeah. That's hating the size of your pores is kind of like hating your skin color. It's kind of like hating where you were born. It's a thing about you that you can't change. Just take good care of your skin, keep it clean, keep your pores clear. You know, you can take care of that. You can wash your face, but you don't need to scrub your pores out. You don't need to like do expensive treatments to try to minimize your pore. It's not because you're not taking good care enough of your skin. It's not because you're not washing properly. It's not because it's because it's genetics. If you have large pores, I bet someone in your family does too. So don't shove this in your pores, please. Don't make it really thick and then grind it in and pack it in. And then it also, there's too much on your face and it would actually disrupt your makeup. So none of these disrupt your makeup, by the way. They're fair primers in that regard. In fact, because they're all silicone-based primers, they're fantastic basis for your makeup. So like I said, I was testing these with Dior Backstage, which is a silicone-based makeup. Makeup is usually water, oil, or silicone, and most makeups nowadays are silicone. Most primers, with a few exceptions, are silicone-based. So you obviously want to wear the same sort of primer base with your foundation base, and these are silicone-based. They go great with your average foundation. They don't disrupt it, and the Rare Beauty did help with longevity. They were fine in that regard. But that's another reason that I couldn't really see any pore burning effect with or without foundation, is because once I added the foundation, the much thicker coverage, the much darker tint, the silicone and blurring effects of the foundation completely overwhelmed whatever was underneath, and that wasn't going to come through. So I would get the same effect aesthetically just wearing foundation. Primer or no primer, I was going to get the same pore blurring effect because I wear, and you probably wear too, a silicone-based foundation. And that is why I am not convinced that the whole pore blurring primer thing isn't a scam. It's a market for people like me who have big pores, who are like, oh, wouldn't it be nice if I could look like I had a photoshopped finish? No, I won't look like I have a photoshopped finish because I'm not photoshopped in real life. I can't buy a makeup product that will make me look that way. There's nothing that's going to change my pore size. For the cover / benefit, how do you rate a product that doesn't work and is incredibly expensive? I'm going to give it a 1 out of 10. It sucks. It sucks. Like, I have to be honest, right? These numbers are based on my experience with the product, and my experience with the product is that it doesn't work. I'm going to give it a 1 because, 1, it is silicone based, so it is the right product, and it's silky, and I like the way it feels. The e.l.f. I actually like the putty primer. I like the way it works. I like working with it. There are pros and cons to each of them. You know, that was messy. This was maybe have to use your fingers. You know, there are pros and cons. This one, you know, doesn't smell like cocaine. I assume it's not. But I like the product, it's fine, and it is the right material. So I'm going to give it a 1. Like, it's not worthless, it's not a scam, it's not bad for you, but I honestly can't rate it high, and I feel like I'm being really generous giving them a 1. Now, the Rare Beauty. Ooh, I'm going to be like super generous with it because it had that 2-hour lifespan. It doesn't claim to tint your skin. It doesn't attempt to, like, these two are supposed to pore blur and almost nothing else. Like, they're not even meant to be put all over your face. This one is, and it does. And I think it has the best packaging. It has a really nice feel, and it actually worked a little bit. Like, it was not a bad primer, and it just claimed to be pore diffusing because it was silicone based. But it is better, at least from my skin type, it is better than a hydrating primer. I'm just too oily to put anything on my face, and then that's not meant to kind of combat that. And I'm not super oily, but oily enough. So I'm going to give it a 3. And I'm being generous with these ratings. 1, 1, and 3 instead of 0, 0, and 1. Purely based on the fact that it is actually a primer. Like, it works as a primer, it functions as a primer. I like it the most. I don't like the texture the most. I don't like the gel consistency, but it's fine, and I know a lot of people do. I think it's the most high-end out of these products, and it was only $30 an ounce instead of $45. Once people think that this pore blurring primer blurs pores, like that they see it and you see what you want to believe, and I honestly was starting to buy into that, but that's why I do these reviews, so that people don't fall into these traps, and I've saved myself money. I learned something in the process, so I'm glad I did it. But man, like, my heart hurts a little bit. I feel like embarrassed because I feel like I was conned and like I was duped a little bit, because, you know, I should have been doing my research beforehand. I should have known. Being compassionate toward yourself and going, hey, well, now I learned something. I know that maybe I don't want these primers. And, you know, if you do like the primer, use it. If it makes you happy, use it. And now, knowing that if I were to make a recommendation to you, like the viewers, like, pore gripping primers, do something to make your foundation last, because it is your foundation that is doing the work and is providing coverage. It is not your primer. But anyway, have a great day. Go treat yourself. Beauty is on the inside. That's what matters. It doesn't matter what your pore size is or what products you use or how long your YouTube videos are. Take care. I'll see you next video. Till next time.